I thought this was like.
I'm
for
stealing a thing
tips.
from YouTubers who do it on the subway, where they're like, "Oh, I attach it to this because then you don't get audio sound like picking
Interesting.
holding your mic."
I see.
Interesting. Good
So
to
the
know.
blind man wasn't
Yeah.
looking.
Okay. So these are the mics. You know how those work.
Heard of them?
We're gonna be tweaking.
Well,
We don't know how to act.
I had
My
shot of
shoulders
espresso
are like
today, and
super
that's
fucked
it.
right now. So.
I was gonna say.
Same.
My like
What is
my
that?
like picking finger
It's
hurts.
numb. Mine's numb. Like
Yeah.
I've like kind of lost feeling. in the
I
tips of my
already
finger.
had. You can see it right there. There's the blister.
alrighty, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Ready and rolling.
We'll talk about the water cycle today.
Already started. Ready. I'm gonna do a second clap.
Mm-hmm.
You can applause if you want.
Snaps only. Snaps only.
Woo! I've never started with an applause. That's nice.
Well, you know, we want to congratulate you on getting this far.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the last podcast you'll ever do. This is like too much for you. But
This is too much. If this goes big, I can't do this again.
I'll just move it for you.
it's like,
Yeah.
It's over the blown. Anyway, either way, welcome to Yelling at Concrete Podcast, guys.
Hello.
hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I
having
love when I
us.
say that no one responds with hello. Like everyone just gets like stunted by it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, welcome to the show, and I was just like, "Thanks, man."
Well
'Cause
met.
It's like, I am welcome.
Yeah, like what do we say? Like
What do you
Yeah.
well met.
Mm.
You know?
Tip the hat.
Yeah.
God be with
You
you.
figure out how you ended up here. That's what you do.
Right, like what
What
set of
did you
actions
do?
did I take to lead me to being one part of a 4-person interviewee
Yeah.
reception area?
On a 5-person podcast with 3 microphones,
Mm.
because I'm that professional.
I mean, it was always a dream.
Hey, it's more than one.
That is more than one.
It is
That's
true.
good.
It is more than one. It should work. I mean, we'll figure it out. If not, I can do it again with you guys in like a month.
There you go.
That works.
We'll just run through this again.
What if I hit the big red record button and stop the recording?
I mean, you could. I mean, I'm gonna maybe panic now. I'm gonna make sure that's
So I think it's
Just
ready.
don't trust them.
still going. I have that feeling every so often because the other camera doesn't.
Is it on?
Wow.
It's the ASMR. You realize I don't edit, so everything stays in. I'm gonna start with a really simple question first.
Ooh, he is gonna give us questions.
Yeah,
But
he
I
lied.
have 2 loaded questions.
Okay.
That's the rule. You know, it's like that guy with pizza in New York who does like 1 bite and then reviews the pizza. I have
right.
very simple questions,
Mhm.
except he takes like 5 bites, so I don't really understand that.
He's hungry.
Who are you?
Sophia, I think that was for you.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah, since we're here, I was actually wondering the same.
No, I think you should start.
Well, I'm Tristan.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm Julian.
I'm Akshay.
I'm Sophia. Clearly.
And we are postage tramps.
Nice. It's almost like you rehearsed that.
We absolutely did not. I had to like start searching. I was like, fuck, who are we?
I did forget my name for a minute.
I saw the fear.
It's
Luckily,
like
like, you
out
didn't
there?
go to
Put
me
on the
first.
spot and it just happens. I don't understand it. I mean, I feel like when I ask people, they go through that like slight existential moment.
Yeah, who
where
are
you're
you?
like, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Because who are the postage
Yeah, like,
tramps?
what am I gonna say? Like, am I the guitarist, or am I Julian?
Because also you're
Do they even
introducing
know?
drama. If you're the guitarist,
They know nothing
there's 2
about.
other people
All
who
they
play
know is
guitar.
what you tell them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
You could say anything, and that's what the people will believe when you say these things.
Right.
So far, as much as I've learned, anyway.
We are Tame Impala.
Alright, I'll do you.
Guys, I made it.
Full bit, yeah. Everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's just one guy." It's time for us to come out and admit it was never one
it's
guy.
Not one guy.
It's 4 people.
No. Yeah, but you're postage tramps, so you're a band.
We
which
are a
is the
band.
main crux of this, right?
We are 4 parts that make up one whole postage tramps.
Yeah.
Postage tramps.
Well said.
We're all tramps,
We're all tramps.
and we are postage related.
Okay.
Postal.
We go postal.
We go
Go postal. Okay. I do feel like we could break down the name if you want to.
Oh my god, yeah, we should talk about that. So,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Why are you branded like this?
well, because originally, before we even met Akshay and got Sophia in the band too, me and Julian were just making music by ourselves last summer. And we were like talking about our music taste, and all of our music taste is what many people on the internet would call music, or music for male manipulators.
Right.
So the Smiths, the Strokes, Nirvana, any music where you're like, yeah, a very toxic, manipulative man, a male manipulator would listen to this. We're like, oh, well, that's all our music, and that's kind of what we're inspired by. So we should be the male manipulators, like
Yeah.
MAIL. And then we were like, oh, that's fun, that's branding. And then we looked it up, and there was already a band in Wisconsin. And I have to say with the
and
Wisco accent.
they did have a single record on Spotify,
They
so we
did.
couldn't like just push them to the side.
Yeah, they had done some releases on Bandcamp and everything, and so shout out Male Manipulators one time. We will never forgive you. And so then after that, we discovered our name was taken, and so we started just like spitballing names because we like the postage theming.
Yeah.
You know, it like lends itself to so
Vibe.
much punnery and nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Makes sense. And then you guys just joined afterwards. Just.
I mean, it's a fun story.
Tell
They
us.
posted on Reddit, find a band. That's r/find a band.
Mhm.
Very random, and I was just looking for like 8-9 months or something. I was just skimming, and then I'm just like, message, and they responded, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, and they were the only people that didn't ghost me, you know. So that's you know, it's a +1 in my book, you know.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly, right,
Yeah,
You showed
yeah.
up to
And
practice
it's
one
just-
day and nobody's
yeah.
here.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I just a group chat gone. You know, bye.
I feel like that's a risk though, like finding people online. Like,
Oh yeah.
We had the thought. Yeah.
It could still be the long con.
it could.
I feel like I see a machete in that drum cymbal bag.
Yeah, true,
How
right?
much do
Yeah.
you really know about it?
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
I did have the thought the first time we were like having you come out to rehearse with us.
Yeah.
I was like, this does sound like a scheme. It sounds like, oh yeah, come play with us, and we're very normal. You know what I mean? Like,
Not really.
I mean, I've had that happen like several times where you just meet people and they're just like, you know, they're like chill, but then they're just like, oh yeah, it was great, and then like 2 days later you just don't hear from them again. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just like,
So
you
it's
know,
like dating.
what are you gonna do? You know, like
Yeah.
you just
jobs.
play. You know, that's all. My only goal is play drums. You know,
you go.
that's very simple. You know.
fortunately, Sophia knew us as people first before she got involved with this.
Yeah.
So she already knew what she was getting
Scary thoughts.
into. She was like, yeah, these are
You
shady
as
characters.
people.
Mhm.
It was just like
Yes.
literally me after
Okay.
my first session. I was like, "We don't have a bassist. What is this?" And then they were like, "Oh yes, we know a bassist." And I'm like, "Why the fuck isn't she here?" You know, like.
And then she was.
It was one of those
Yeah.
things where I just never said it. Do you ever think something so hard that you never say
Yeah,
it?
like it was
Yeah.
such an obvious conclusion.
I was like, oh
that
yeah,
Sophia
Sophia's the
was gonna be our
bassist. And Sophia's like, I am?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yes.
Come remember? Yeah,
Welcome
sure.
aboard.
I'll do it.
Mhm.
I feel like that's an old school way of putting a band together though.
It's real.
Yeah, well, that's how we do. We're none of that frou app bullshit.
We don't like that.
Except we did go on Reddit.
I was gonna say, you started this relationship
I-
online.
Yeah.
You could've-
Okay. All right.
But it's very like 2000s, you know, like, oh, we met on a band forum. It's not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I saw you on
Yeah.
TikTok and I joined your band from there.
Which, like, you know, no hate.
Full hate. What do you mean?
It's unironically how people are forming bands now with like TikTok. So.
Totally.
Like, what if we were like,
Yeah.
send me a 30-second clip? That wasn't enough. Send me a 45-second clip of your drumming.
Unironically, people are doing that on Craigslist. So, like, people are like, yeah, please send a clip, and then they literally will filter off of that. And so I was just like, okay, yeah. This is like the, you know, classic work experience problem, you know? You
Yeah.
need experience to get a job, but you need experience to be able to apply in the first place.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's an industry contraption.
Yeah.
But I mean, it, like you say, it's like early 2000s. But I feel like when I think of bands, especially older bands like Zeppelin and Beatles and whatnot, they go like through random posters, which they put up at like the college or whatever.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
just cut out the middleman of actually having to go somewhere physically.
Yeah.
We went somewhere internetally.
It was sapially.
But with Sophia, it was very
Yeah,
old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say next desk's over.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, my literal, and we're not talking about work. How can we say
Swear.
it? Sophia and I go to the same place most days, 5 out of 7 days of the week.
Yeah.
So.
See, none of that just makes you sound like drug addicts.
Hey, listen.
Hey, yeah, we met at the same halfway house. I
What's
mean,
wrong
we
with
met at
that?
work.
We go to the same place. We're not allowed to talk about that
See, all
place.
the
It's the
same
same
pieces.
place.
Secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like I can't stop going.
No.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
My PO box told me about. We are letter correspondence.
Back to postage stamps. See how
Yeah.
easy it is
Yeah.
to reincorporate the thought.
Yes.
It is, yeah, I mean, the conceptual basis of it's got legs.
It's got legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That's the way to
it begs the
describe
question, like, tramps, like, are we poor or are we
Vagabonds,
vagabonds or are we
promiscuous.
promiscuous women of the night?
Mhm.
And I think the answer is obvious looking at us.
So you're promiscuous male workers, or
Oh.
Male workers.
Yeah.
Male.
I hardly know her.
Hold on.
hold on, yeah. I mean, you're either kind of like promiscuous and work for the USPS, or you're just kind of trampy, or you're broke but you also work for USPS. I don't know.
The mystery intrigues. That's why people want to come to the show.
I'm real curious what the cover art's gonna be now.
Completely. Yeah. Very Blink-182, very Enema of the State, but instead of
Yeah.
a nurse, it's going to be like a postal worker.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I love it.
I mean, but you have the like cover and stuff for the
Yeah.
album all planned out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did all the bike shedding
Yeah.
before we made any music, which was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way.
We
to
got
do
it out of the way.
Yeah.
And you know what? It worked out.
Yeah. You came with an idea, like a solid concept, and applied that idea,
There you go.
which is usually the other way around. Like, I think this is what I see now with a lot of like new starts and new like initiatives is people have like the branding, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's the end of the
There's no
conversation.
substance.
Yeah.
I guess we did start making music before we officially like bike shedded the band stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So there was something there.
There's some level of it. You got the branding down. It's good. I appreciate it.
We've been wanting to brand people physically at shows.
Yeah.
Like with a cattle prod, because I got this this wax seal thing. I think you saw it. The
Yeah.
like I seal the little letters, like love letters,
Yeah.
with a postage stamps wax seal. And I was like, oh, if we wanted to be a little bit more hardcore,
Mhm.
we could be like, who wants to get branded and like stick it in a fire and then. But I don't know about.
I would do it on stage.
With yourself, though.
I would genuinely get branded. Like it would be cool.
All right.
That would be a miracle. That would be incredible.
It would be like, and it would be like Angus beef type thing. It would be like the certified 100% Angus.
100% beef.
And then I would put a sticker on you that's like, this cow's name was Margaret. Please
Yeah.
don't eat me.
Yeah, please don't eat me. And then like I could wear earrings that are just like the neon orange plastic clips.
Oh my god, yeah.
You've gone from male to cattle very easily, and
Well,
I don't know if that's going to damage the brand.
I think it'll improve the brand.
Okay.
There's a lot of steaks being sold in this country
It's true.
via the postage system.
Well, you can order anything online now.
You can order mail. You can
Yeah.
order steak delivered.
You can get steak. Oh, you can get a human being delivered.
That's
Hang on a
We
minute.
all remember.
Wait, what?
No,
What?
That's a very questionable thing for you to say.
Was it Wayfair or whatever?
oh
Delivered a human being?
Do you know about this?
No.
Do you know about this?
Well,
We
okay.
might
No,
talk about it.
So if
You
you,
know.
I know. So this is how, like, typically how I've seen it done. You go to IKEA
I don't know about it.
and you pick out a piece of furniture,
Right.
and then you tell them, "I want a person with my furniture at this
Okay.
location," and that location's like typically your house.
Right.
And then they bring the furniture or whatever, but then there's also like a human being involved.
This
Is,
is what I
is
was
this the
thinking of.
person who like just builds the furniture?
Well, I guess
Oh,
they
the
do
Geek
that
Squad.
too, but yeah, you like get a person delivered to your.
I'm talking about. Do you remember when Wayfair was in a huge scandal because it was like random dressers that you could find for like $100, $200, and they were being sold for prices that were like absurd. It was like $30,000, and it would also have a person's name. It would be like Linda, $30,000, little wooden
Oh,
dresser.
yeah.
And so people did investigating into it, and it was like some sort of human trafficking thing.
They like extrapolated that, but
I don't know if it was
there
ever
no,
proven.
Yeah, there was no evidence.
But I believe.
No, it's true. We're calling it now.
Yeah.
Is that slander? Is that the thing?
Yeah, that's
It might be. It might
Sorry.
be. It's very close.
Yeah, I was
You're
about
gonna have
say,
to like dub in allegedly.
Allegedly. There's going to be a lot of allegedly.
A lot of allegedly.
Allegedly met the postage stamps.
Yeah, they're an alleged band.
That actually is the
It's, yeah, that is true.
But again, you can just introduce yourself as whatever you want and you get away with it.
Yeah.
I feel like
Sure.
that's the vibe.
What if we get banned from the podcast?
Wow.
Good guy.
Lost
It
episode.
would take a lot to get banned from this podcast, I'm just going to say.
Well,
Like,
You've met them.
yeah.
You know what they're capable of.
I took the risk when I invited you all on. I was
Yeah.
like, this will be fine.
You know what you're getting into.
We won't struggle. We'll be fine. You just reminded me, though, you could buy people on eBay for a short while.
What do you
I don't know if any of you old enough to remember this.
No.
Like,
No,
for fun?
Seems very sketchy.
Like,
yeah.
Well, like, there was, like, people... This wasn't even, like, other people being sold by other people. This was other people selling themselves on eBay.
Oh, Craigslist style?
oh, like
Like-
ladies of the night.
Yeah, that kind of thing, but also, like, just in general. They were like, I need someone to look after me. You can hire me. But
Oh,
I'm
this
just going to
is-
be permanent.
Interesting.
There was a woman who tried to sell her virginity on eBay, and I think she sold it for something like $30,000 or something.
Not that bad.
And then a
That's-
guy did the same, and he only got $1,000,
Damn.
or like 700, and
Rage
it
game.
was just, you're just like, okay, eBay's gone too far.
Yeah,
This
but
one.
still $1,000.
So
I
those
got
people
I
do
got
it
paid
for
in
free?
like orange juice and a cigarette. Like that's pretty fucking good. That's a good ROI. You know?
ROI.
Yeah.
ROI.
Yeah.
want to
trauma
maximize
podcast. That's brutal.
But I mean, that's what's missing from the old internet. I still go on Craigslist and check the missed connections because you never know, right? But
Yeah.
you don't see stuff like that anymore. You
No.
still see it on Craigslist. It's moved from eBay to Craigslist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People will be like, "Hi, I'm looking for a hot young woman that I will pay to clean my house and live here." I'm like, that's. I guess you're not allowed to say what you want.
I mean, that shit's
Yeah.
gone up to like the band, like find a band stuff on Craigslist even. They literally will like try it. There's literally a post that you'll see that's been there for like 8-9 months where it's basically just a studio trying to find a female singer. And then there's all these really, really suggestive comments in the fucking like thing as a descriptor. And I'm just like, yeah, this is not a description of like actual someone's singing capacity. This is just like somebody who like, they just want somebody to fuck, you know? They're like, what the fuck is this? You know, like it's very fucked. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I really thought making bands was like a nice thing.
Yeah.
It's been pretty nice here. There hasn't been any human trafficking as far as I've heard.
Yeah, right. You know, it's a very low
We
bar.
moved
You
on
know?
to
you guys
expose
know.
podcast.
I mean, before we start every rehearsal, I turn to Sophia and I say, "If you were being kidnapped, you can make a choice. It's okay. I'll be watching." But yeah.
I love it.
It's the old internet. The internet now is just like 5 brands in a trench coat. It's like a
Yeah.
lot less interesting.
I mean, I guess that's a question for you guys. Like, I mean, is this your first band? For any of
Yes.
you?
For me, yeah.
For you-
I mean, for me, it's basically like the first like formal band I've been
Okay.
in. But like when I was in high school, I did like a lot of session work.
Right.
So like a lot of people would just have like. Well, in my high school anyway, I was like one of 2 drummers in the entire school. So there's like, you know, nobody had a drummer. They needed like one pretty much for hire. And so what I would do is just like, everyone knew who I was, you know, everyone knew what I could do. And so they would just like be coming to me and like, yeah, we have a like set in like a gig in like 2 weeks. This is the set list here. And then they would just give it to me and I would just practice it and I would just show up and just play. And so I have a lot of experience playing live,
Yeah.
but I don't have a lot of experience like composing music from scratch. And that's something that I'm working on now. It's fun, you know, but the live stuff, you know, that's my wheelhouse, you know. That's
Yeah.
where I like to be.
That's nice. No, I was kind of like wondering because it's like, so when I'm gonna sound really fucking old. So when I was a child, back in the old days, obviously MySpace had only just appeared. Before that, if you had a band, you had to go play live shows.
Yeah.
There was no other way to get found in any way, shape, or form. It was live shows and here's a tape or a disc of my friend's band. You should listen to them.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, I know the landscape has changed and it's much more saturated because of the online ability of just being able to post whatever you want. But is that like a genuine struggle still? Of just getting your music listened to?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it is,
Because we haven't
absolutely.
released too much officially.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's some stuff on SoundCloud. There's like a couple stuff on streaming, but. And I think a lot, like, my inclination is like, oh yeah, we should still do it the old-fashioned way, because I hate trying to sell yourself online
Mhm.
and competing, in the, like, echo chamber of everyone else just shouting to, and it's like, a lot of people who maybe can't play live, you know, but that's, like, what we really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we almost wish that no one could find each other online. Do an EMP.
I don't almost wish this. I want the fucking EMP.
You put the
They
emphasis on the
blow
EMP.
the internet up. Yeah, like, we need to get rid of the internet.
You'd have
Yeah.
to go
Like,
acoustic though.
full respect to the Yelling at Concrete podcast,
Sorry.
but this ought to be distributed in a speakeasy somewhere.
Well, no, but let's face it. If I could and I had the energy and the time and the resources, I would put this out on tape.
I know you
like-
would.
yeah,
Exactly.
I can see that.
I just leave it in public
Phonography.
places in tape on like cassettes.
Yeah, and that's how it ought to be.
Yeah.
But we don't have any time to ourselves anymore.
Also, it's really expensive.
Yeah,
Did you buy
that is
tape
true.
player recently?
Oh.
It's like,
Yeah.
I guess this is like pretty free. Like
Yeah.
you invest in the mics and the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like
I keep costs as low as possible.
Yeah.
I don't even pay the guests.
what? Wait
Aw.
a minute. What?
This is. I feel like this is a thing people ask me where they're like, "How do you get people to come on?" And I'm just like, just ask them.
Yeah.
And it's a-
I thought at least
It works.
orange juice and a cigarette.
No, I'm never that kind.
All right.
It's very much just bite the pillow and you're
You're
good.
good.
There's a pillow?
Where do you
So
go for pillows?
delicious. No, yeah, like it's a different landscape, especially like even just creating anything. Like when you're doing like visual arts and stuff, getting it seen is the real challenge.
When you go through that.
Yeah, and I got like even with like video stuff, just having it pushed out because the competitiveness is there. And obviously we're in New York, so you're surrounded by like a million bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the venues have a higher expectation
Yeah.
because it's like it's New York. So like even if we are like a local fledgling band, we still ought to have like know-how for how all of these venues work, and like perhaps like all this technology, and like we need to be organized and have all this shit
Yeah.
stuff.
To be fair, I pushed a lot of this shit on you though.
Well, no, I mean, but this
like
is good.
it's just how it is. I was like, oh, we need IEMs, we need monitoring, we need like a click track, and like I had like this list of requirements.
I
you know?
like having all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I just am thinking, I'm like, this is kind of like, New York does have like a larger gamut. Like there are the most professional of the most professional here as well.
And coming through constantly. So a lot of these venues are like, oh, are you going to draw 5,000 people? It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
whereas if we lived in
take me a
fucking-
while.
Yeah.
Right.
But like if we lived in like redacted Florida, we could probably be playing at the Walmart every Friday night.
Yeah.
It's like
Let's fucking go, Walmart!
Denny's.
Yeah, the Denny's, right? The classic.
I would love to see you guys play a Walmart or Denny's.
I think that would satisfy all of our cravings.
I think so.
Yeah.
But no,
Ooh,
I'm literally
in
having to.
fresh meat
I don't know if this isn't slander. This is a fact. For the place that we're playing in a couple of weeks, I have to sign a W-9. It's like
Right.
that professional.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it
it's-
is like really professional.
I was hoping for just like a wet 20 at the end of the night. You know? Like,
And also, I mean, I have to bring a snare, a kick
Yeah.
pedal, all that stuff. Like that's like reserved for like mid-tier venues usually, because it's like usually how the drum setup work is pretty simple. It's like low-tier ones you just bring cymbals, mid-tier ones you have to bring a snare, kick pedal, cymbals, and then the high-tier ones you have to bring your whole set basically.
Right.
And so like the crazy jump to like the mid-tier on like a smallish venue is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Or usually you'd expect like all these local venues, they just give you a full set.
Yeah.
They're just like bring your own cymbals and the breakables and stuff like that, and then you just kind of go to ham basically.
I've never thought about that. Like, just, I mean, I guess venues per city would differ. Because, like, I'm like you. Like, I grew up in a small town. Like, you go to a pub, and the pub has a stage which has
Yeah.
basically everything. You take your guitar,
Exactly.
and that's, the guitar and a snare, and that's basically what you used to do. Just, like, to set up.
Yeah.
Have you met other bands, like, through this?
yeah, well, not so much through this because we've really played live one time at this point.
We did meet
But
the
you
guy
haven't
who's fucking
practiced.
fat girls and tattoos.
Oh my god. Yeah, you.
That guy was intense.
Yeah.
We should talk about that guy.
I don't know if we could. No,
I don't want to. I mean, we don't slander.
I don't
We
know
don't
his name.
slander.
I can't remember his
I guess
name.
I remember. I'll tell you
I remember
later.
his name because he served.
He was good.
He had a really interesting perspective.
Yeah. No, I like
His lyrical content was interesting, but his actual skills of singing, playing
Were
playing a guitar, he was just actually good.
Yeah.
Completely.
But yeah, lyrically, it was on edge.
Yeah, it left us at a bit of a loss.
Yeah.
We've made most of our other musician friends in the city by actually just going to live performances and telling them that, oh, we weren't here to see anyone specifically, and then they freak out. Because it's like, we met our friend Jules this way because we were just like going around last summer and going to any live music wherever it was happening. And he was there before the show. I didn't know who he was because we were just there to see the acts that were playing that night. And he was like, oh, who are you here to see? And I was like, whoever is playing. He's like, I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but we haven't had the opportunity yet to really connect with the people who are on the same like set list or rehearsal, whatever.
That's fair. Yeah. I think like I don't know. I just assume music is more camaraderie than any other industry.
No, it's all hate. It's all competitive.
Well, we had this
Either
conversation.
or, right?
Like, I was chatting to our friend Lenny Roy, who was saying that drummers hate all other drummers.
I mean, that's
There's no
questionable.
There's no denial.
Like, I mean, there's certain things where if you're a drummer, you see other drummers and you're like, yeah, I don't like that style of playing.
Okay.
And then you see other drummers and you're like, that's really cool.
Mhm.
So I can go on my little tangent and kind of talk about all of that. It'll take like, maybe 30, 40 minutes. But I can give you the little brief summary, which is what they're aware of, which is that, I'm basically, I like drummers that have something unique in terms of their sound. So big examples that I always mention, Sunny Day Real Estate's drummer, William Goldsmith. He is just a very nuanced drummer, and if you listen to stuff like Seven, In Circles, a lot of those songs, they have a very unique structure to the song, and not only that, the drums play a key part in it. It's very interesting. Sunny Day Real Estate in general, they're essentially Nate Mendo and William Goldsmith are the sound of the band. The guitarist is, he's there, but he's kind of pushed down in the mix somewhere. And so they're the sound of the band. And so those kind of in that kind of vibe, you know, he has like a very powerful sound, and it's still like to this day, you know, you see him in concert. You just listen to the drums. It's like usually it's not the case. You know, you're listening to the guitarist, you're listening to the vocalist. When you're seeing a Sunny Day Real Estate show, you're drawn to William Goldsmith. He has like a certain aura to him, you know. And like people like that, like Stuart Copeland, the Police, right, has the same thing. You know, you see him playing, and you're like, he's just going ham. This is like really cool. And there's another guy that probably nobody knows of, but is one of my favorite drummers, and is probably the most underrated drummer of all time, Matty Best of Tonight Alive. Nobody actually knows who he is until he joined Sleeping with Sirens. He is actually Sleeping with Sirens' current drummer, but he is, in my opinion, he is like the best modern pop punk style like originated drummer. But like in general, I think he's just a very good drummer. He's playing metalcore now. He plays like a lot of genres. It is a very unique sound. He does a lot of stuff with the toms. It's very fun to listen to. And so that's one. You can just listen to any song of his from Tonight Alive, Sleeping with Sirens, anything, and you recognize him. He is recognizable in the mix. And that is something that I aspire to get to, that level where you're just like, you hear the drums and you're just like, that is so-and-so person. You know who it is, you know? And that's when you know that it's like, you know, it's not just some generic person that can just be swapped out at any point with another random person, and it doesn't make a difference, you know? Yeah.
Makes sense. It's a notoriety with
Exactly,
with
yeah.
bands. But then Sophia, why do people everyone like ignore all the bassists?
You know, we just don't get enough love. I don't know. I feel like a lot of bases, unless you get like heavy hitting songs, they're kind of pushed down in the mix, which is, it's everyone looks to the drummer, everyone looks to the guitarist. I mean, the lead man is the vocalist, so the bass is kind of always in the back, but I don't know. It's,
But like that's a vibe sometimes.
yeah,
right?
no,
It is a
sometimes
vibe.
it is a vibe.
Yeah.
We try to change that. We put you in the front a little bit.
That is true.
I do
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
a good bass heavy song.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun.
I feel like the sonic landscape of the past 30 years is bass becomes more and more important. Like
Yeah.
people value that highly. Smile.
Yeah.
So we're making good bass parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
You're trying to equalize the parts in the band.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I remember seeing Dragon Force. I don't know if any of you
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to Dragon Force.
Yeah.
We saw Dragon Force in Leeds, and so they blew the power
I'm sure.
during
Nice.
the gig.
Sure.
First track, like blew the power, and they were getting it all back on and like trying to fix all the fuses and stuff. And because they had to bring on each instrument one by one to see what tripped the switch, they decided to do a solo each. And they went through, and there's like the two guitarists, the keyboard, the drummer, and the bassist basically came out and was like, I'm not gonna do a bass solo because bass is boring and I'm boring. And you're like, you're in Dragon Force.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is a strange vibe to just slap onto the side of this
Did
band.
he like pick or did he use like thingies?
He uses fingers.
That's crazy because it's like
Yeah. He's like crazy bassist. But he's just like, no, I'm boring.
Because that's like something I've noticed recently, which is that like the fingerstyle bass is like going away, which is kind of sad. Honestly,
is,
it's
yeah.
like I feel like it's more skillful, and it allows for more like kind of variety in the playing.
Oh, I feel like this is a hot take.
Yeah.
Is it a hot take?
Like I don't know, pick bass has like come up with that pop punk movement, and essentially just kind of infiltrated everything. And now you just see everybody just plays with a pick, and it's just like, you know,
feel
loses half the fun. You know?
Yeah, I feel like it's very much as well like it lends itself to different styles.
Yeah,
Like
it
because like
does.
speed and fingers
Yeah.
is always hard.
But I think you just look at like the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
and you just see there's nobody playing with a pick pretty much. Like maybe like two or three like kind of like hardcore punk outfits will be doing it. Like those are highly underground stuff basically. But like other than that, like nobody's doing it. And then like somewhere around late 90s, they're just like everyone wants to use a pick, you know.
It's because the pick wasn't invented till the 90s.
Yeah,
That's, there we go.
interesting concept. Yeah.
Love the idea of that. Just like stuff not being invented till much later than it should have been.
Yeah.
So why don't you have a keyboardist?
Well, we
That's a
did.
really good question, actually.
yeah, we do have some keyboard on some of our
But
early
you-
tracks.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, just like synth, like
Okay.
Yeah.
sound painting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just we can't afford a fifth member right now. Touring is really tough on us,
Yeah.
and I mean having to like stay in hostels, and like Julian doesn't even want to pay for his own bed, so he just like dangles off the side of mine like a bat.
And plus, like fitting the keyboard in the box
It's not gonna go in the box.
'Cause,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, the
Can't
box.
fit in that
right?
Everything
Yeah,
has to fit in the box. I don't know if you can see the box.
Well,
on
like
camera.
also
We're
like
checking
when
it.
we tour, because we're like, you know, postage tramps, we all have to fit in like a
It's
USPS
just that.
postage box.
Yeah, the tour van is going to be a USPS. Oh, just a box.
Just a box.
You're being shipped around from venue to venue.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I thought we were
You're
just gonna
creating
steal a
it?
van.
You're just gonna crate yourself like to each venue?
Yeah.
Mail order tramps.
I mean, if you're going through the mail, you're never gonna get there on time.
Oh god, that's true.
There's no guarantee of delivery.
We know a guy though.
That's okay.
What if it gets
We
stolen?
know.
We unironically know a guy at the USPS.
We are no longer associated with the USPS.
The whole bit this whole time has been we are not officially sponsored, but now we have USPS merch,
From a USPS postman.
like official stuff. Yeah,
It's the best way. You should play a post office.
I would love to.
That would
If
actually
the
be
government
fun.
will let me.
Right?
Because they are a bit dreary.
The one in
Post
Hoboken's crazy. It's
Really?
like Onea's folk. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a really old
sometimes-
building.
The one we
yeah.
announced the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's in, like
Lenox
an
Hill.
old.
Yeah, Lenox Hill Station.
And it's like
I
all
guess was-
marble, so it'd be like echoey and like you
Ooh,
sound
yeah.
huge in there.
That'd be
That'd be nice.
That would be pretty
Nice.
cool.
I'll look into it. I'll look into it.
And like also like people could be like, you know, having a groove while they're sending their.
Sending their mail.
Their mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to find their mail.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I just like the idea of you shipping yourselves and getting stolen as a package.
Oh my god.
Yeah, package thieves. Well, we published
End
our
up on
song
Wayfair.
under Stolen Package Records.
Mm.
The
That's our
district could
label.
let us pick a name. We just went with that.
Again, you push the concept. I like that.
It's concept first, and then none of our music has anything to do with the mail.
That's,
that's
true.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that's disappointing.
It's all
Well-
just depression oriented, you know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. But that's the whole thing.
you
I
know.
was gonna say,
Is this
talk
your
about mail.
genre? Depression-oriented music?
People have asked us like, what is our genre, and I always go with like, sad.
I mean, as someone who listens to your music, I wouldn't say sad. It has this sad like sound, and lyrically, I feel like it's a lot more cutting than I'd expect sad music to be.
Cut it.
I mean, what would you say is our genre then?
I think I described it to you like when we were chatting. I was like, it's like somewhere between the Smiths and then a much grungier band.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you've got kind of like the vocal tones, which are kind of lilting, and it's got like a weirdly Irish vibe, even though you're not Irish.
I do not put on an accent. for
You
the
don't put
record.
an
No
accent,
slander.
but
No
it's,
slander.
No,
Yeah.
but it's,
let it linger.
It's
One of our new tracks.
a new
yeah.
track.
It's like that bassy undertone, and then it like drifts through. But then the music itself is a lot grungier, which is nice because you get that contrast like between the two. I'd say that's somewhere in between. I'm sure I couldn't think of it like a grungier. I guess yeah, maybe like the Cranberries, all that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah, 'cause it's
Some
some
of the music,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm stuck in
I
the
think
Irish.
a lot of the stuff a lot of the drums comes from Soundgarden. That's like Matt Cameron's another big influence for me, and so that's
I can
you'll
see
hear
that.
a lot of those influences in these songs for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and Smashing Pumpkins for
Yeah.
some of the tracks.
Maybe on that whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
System of a Down,
Mm.
I like just have listened to so many times that I will often come
Yeah.
up with lines that could have been written by them because they're good.
Yeah, but I feel like anyone who like creates anything, you end up bringing your influences,
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
No artist has ever come up with anything on their own.
No.
There's always something in the air.
Well, we all have like this kind of the same taste, but then we also all have outside of here pretty distinct taste in musics where it's like, yeah, if Julian had his way, this would be a 4-piece bossa nova band. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good question though. Let's go. Let's top 3 bands.
oh, there you go.
We'll do. I want to do top 5. That's a half deli thing, but we might run out of time for that. But top 3 bands. I'm gonna give you a brief few moments to think about it
Mm.
and let the cogs turn. I'm gonna say. I'm not even gonna reveal mine. I am enjoying the music in the background though.
I know. I
Someone
don't
is
think-
going ham
I,
on those
they're
drums.
going wild.
Jeez.
Burning them cows.
It's kind of new metal. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep encouraging you guys to go new metal.
We
I-
kind of are. Wait till you hear the new songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good.
When you bring out the DJ. All right, Sophia, go. 3.
Oh gosh, me? I'm glad I'm first.
I'm working my way down.
Paramore for sure.
Okay.
I grew up on a lot of 70s, 60s, and 80s rock, so I mean AC/DC.
Uh-huh.
And I might say the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the
Nice.
Police. One of the two.
Yeah.
All right, Julian.
So for me, it would definitely be Tonight Alive first. Every single song on theirs is amazing. And then after that, it would be like a little bit older would be Boston. They were kind of my like when I was like starting out as a drummer, they were like my go-to, and they a lot of stuff hidden influences in the music you'll hear from that. And then Other than that, like I'd say probably like Alice in Chains actually. Like a lot of their stuff is really cool sounding. I love the drums. That's like kind of my go-to. Maybe that and Soundgarden. Kind of 1, 3, 4, you know, and then a little hidden fifth is the Police, of course. Stuart Copeland is just unmatched. He's just too good. So a lot of the stuff is hidden in there. So that's top 5 for me. You know,
Just
top
look at
3
the
becomes
extra
top
ones,
5,
just
but you know,
somewhere.
it just keeps going. You know.
Interesting.
The Smiths has always been my number 1, unfortunately, or
Even
unfortunately.
with
This is
yeah.
very honest.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
This is the hot take.
I know. No, it's gonna get worse because the number 2 is Hole,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
which is a band everybody agrees on and loves. And then, but yeah, I love Hole. And then probably the Smashing Pumpkins. But I would probably put other artists up there. I'm thinking of like just bands, but I'm also
Yeah.
really into like Fiona Apple or like singer-songwriters by themselves. But those are my top 3 bands.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Julian?
My number 1 would have to be System of a Down. I love them. They've made like basically no songs that I hate.
Right.
Love them. Antonio Carlos Jobim, the bossa nova artist, listened to his work
Nice.
a lot. And then Always. I really like Always. I can't really think of any songs they've made that I don't like.
Interesting. I can't think of any songs by Always.
Marry Me Archie or
No.
Adult Diversion.
Or
Maybe,
Ice
maybe
Cream
this one
Tonight.
just like passed me by. I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah, well, when you go to Montreal, Osheaga,
Oh yeah, Postage Tramps.
they're going to be there.
Will be not performing at Osheaga.
No. Postage Tramps will be at Osheaga 2024.
Montpellier.
2024.
Sing it now.
2024.
Mhm.
We will be there.
What's that word? Manifesting?
Manifesting.
Manifesting.
Yeah, no, I'm actually like fully manifesting. Like this is chakras are aligned.
Yeah, okay. I mean, this is a good follow-up of like, where do you want us to go?
Wait, you didn't answer. Are you gonna answer the
I'm
question?
not gonna answer the
He's-
question.
okay.
I'm interviewing.
This is
Yeah.
like the Sphinx's
give me
riddle
that
where I'm like,
test.
no, you
Yeah.
tell me.
No, just you tell me. I mean, I couldn't pick, to be honest.
That's
Like,
also
I could pick maybe 2, and I'd just base it on what I listened to on the daily, and then what I listened to on the daily when I was 16. And it's like Slipknot when I was 16, and that's because again they've just made so much good music, and every album is good. And then
Respect.
I currently just listen to a lot of Dessa.
Yeah, you really like Dessa.
Dessa,
She's really good.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and just a lot of that kind of stuff. Maybe throw in Beatle and Sage Francis, but
One of the Beatles. Is that what you
Beatle
said?
and
Oh, I heard throw a
only
Beatle
one
in
of
there.
the Beatles.
Yeah, well,
Like George
probably his
Harrison.
favorite.
George Harrison's the best Beatle.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Truth.
All right, back to the point. Where do you want us to go?
Well, now
What's
that
the
we're
dream?
winding down on the tour,
Yeah.
we really want to get back in the studio.
No,
Unironically true, but you know.
I mean,
No,
I
yeah.
guess like a better question is why make music, right? Like, why not just do this in your
Yeah.
bedroom?
Because it's
Why?
way more fun.
Yeah.
Live and with people. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it is just like a very fun activity. Like the time goes by very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding. And I feel like it makes you more appreciative of music as a whole, and also like you learn your instrument better, you learn how to like play with people better, you can have way more appreciation for how artists
Mm-hmm.
craft their art, or like a depreciation where you're like, this is lame. Like do better. I'm just kidding.
You don't have to, kid. There's people who need to do better at that.
Yeah. But I mean, all music is music.
Yeah, I think the
Boom, tom,
immediacy, the boom tom tom tom
You
music.
like
Yeah,
the boom,
I love boom tom tom tom. No, like the immediacy is like, oh, it is a fun thing to do. You know, it's like a very cool hobby. But then I think the like grand scheme of things is that it's cool to share kind of that idea, because I think that we really do stand out. I feel like we have a pretty unique sound, and like we're not making songs that are like, I miss you. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes you hear songs and you're like, I know we've already said this.
That's my jam.
Like, come on. So I feel like we're saying new things and doing new things, and so it's cool to see where it leads us. We don't have like a specific goal in the very distant future of like play Madison Square Garden or anything, but see how big we get. Release music, hopefully soon. Get in the studio, put an album out.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other thing. Like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Like, when you're like, oh, I never even thought about this being this way. Like if
Right.
you're just making your own music, even like if it's just yourself especially, but even like just the two of us making the music in the bedroom, like it's not going to be. Yeah, I don't know why I said the
Yeah.
bedroom.
Oh yeah.
We
Music
just
in the
practiced for like 5 hours. My head is hurting.
We live in New York. There's no room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
practicing or like making music in a bedroom between two people or like a few people is way different than like spitballing, having like multiple people, especially because like I don't play the drums really at all, so I have ideas in my head about how drums sound, but and like vice versa, you have like different takes that are more unique because you're a drummer.
Yeah.
For like my guitar playing, where like I have never played the drums.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean,
So
that's
it's
like
cool.
how it is, where it's like my music theory is like very inept, and so I rely on them to actually compose something as a structure. But then when I hear something, I have like kind of this like ability to kind of like think about what it should go to, but I don't actually have a way to express that. So like composition for me by myself is like near impossible because I can never properly express what my brain is telling me. But like these guys sort of do that for me. I just say random crap, and then they basically are like, yes, this makes sense, and then they write something, and I'm like, that's it, you did it, And like I do the same for the drums for them. They're like, we want something like this, and then I'm like, sure, and I just play something random, and then they're like, this is great, and I'm like, all right, there you go. And so eventually, what ends up happening is we don't really have a conflict with each other. We just sort of like throw random ideas at each other until stuff sticks. So it works out,
Yeah.
Whereas, I feel like there's other bands where it's like, one person sort of controlling everything, and then you
Yeah.
get that like conflict where it's like somebody doesn't really want to play it like that,
Yeah.
And that never happens for any of us because we don't really, we don't control other people's parts. We just sort of let them naturally come up with something that
Right.
works.
Because
Yeah.
the music is just, it's like greater than any one of us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like the fun part.
It's more like how jazz is made, like because you're
Yeah.
essentially just riffing off each other. At this
Yeah, I
point.
think
Exactly.
really we're
Yes.
just like an experimental jazz band. Just boil it down. Yeah.
Technically everything is right.
Yeah, everything's just
Everything is
jazz.
jazz.
Yeah.
Everything which isn't structured.
Yeah.
Jazz. Oh, that's interesting. No, I was trying to think of this when I was like coming over, just like different artists which get suggested to me on platforms like now, and I noticed that there's a singing style which is popular right now, which is essentially tired girl, and I was trying to like.
I have the opposite of this voice type, but I am a tired girl, so I feel like.
But I was just
I know what you
thinking,
mean.
it's like there was a bunch of songs. I was just like, they all just sound slightly novocained and like drifting through this song, and then you listen to like male singers, and they're doing this kind of same thing where they're like slurring a sentence, and I think it comes from influences from rap, because there was like trap and like mumble rap and all that kind of stuff, which got really popular, and the pop version of that is just to sound slightly tired as you're going into it, and it's like a strange genre shift where I feel like people are intentionally making that music.
Yeah.
They're setting up and they're going, I want to make something which sounds like this artist out there.
I mean, I feel like a lot of that is just Billie Eilish effect on
Billie Eilish,
music.
yeah.
Like,
Consequences.
like she kind of sweep the Grammys that year, and then basically everyone is just like, what she's doing is successful, therefore we must copy it, and that's like how the music industry is like as a whole. One of my biggest qualms is like, I don't want to kind of put these kind of generic catch-all type compositional quirks into our music. There's something that I always tell these guys is something called the quiet section, which if you listen to any rock song post like 2001, especially Nickelback does this a lot, right? And so this is another thing which is like kind of right. That's the cue in of why it's bad. But like you'll notice after the like bridge section, there'll just be a part where they strip all of the instruments off, and it's just the vocals for maybe a bar, 2 bars, and then they'll come back in with all the instruments and do a chorus and then end the song. And you'll hear this all over the place. It's everywhere. It's pop music, it's rock music, it's metalcore. Everything has this, and it's extremely frustrating for me as a listener because you want to hear something new, and then once you hear that, you're like, they just copied a formula. This is nothing new, and then I'm just instantly like turned off on that entire music. I'm just like off, by into the void with you,
Yeah.
Right? It's just like it's not worth listening to because like that they didn't put the effort into coming up with something unique when they were writing it,
Yeah, I get what you mean, like as well though
Yeah.
when you get like instantly turned off on a song,
Yeah.
like or an artist, just like you plug it in, you hear it, and you're like, I do not like this.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what you're saying with the tired girl voice. I've always called that cursive singing in my head.
Cursive.
the
I like that, yeah.
I could walk.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like a person speaking in cursive, and I literally because I was almost into it. Like 2018, Phoebe Bridgers was starting to get a little more popular, and I really liked Phoebe Bridgers. But then everyone became Phoebe Bridgers, and now I'm like so inundated. I'm like, we can't all be this exhausted. I mean, we can.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say
just the modern
Yeah.
age.
it does remind me of like politician wearing blue jeans. It's like, oh, as a musician, I have to appeal to Gen Z who are like very tired and depressed, and it's become abundantly clear that Gen Z's tired and depressed.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can barely even muster the energy to sing this song.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing as well. Like, I think it's very much it's the Gen Z sound. Like I got into K-Flay like years ago, and she kind of had that sound, but the lyrics made sense.
Yeah.
It was all like kind of like trying to dig myself out of stuff. You know, I'm doing this. I'm going to therapy. I'm getting out of it. I'm getting better, and that's it. Whereas a lot of that stuff is very much like, no, this is what I do. This is my day. And I'm like,
Oh, I hate
Great.
a song that's just like exact facts. I hate.
really?
I hate.
You
No,
must
I do because I
hate Billy
understand.
Joel.
Like, huh?
You must hate Billy Joel.
What? Again, no slander, no libel.
Yeah,
Uh,
no slander
No
here,
slander.
yeah.
No
You can't
Billy
do
Joel.
that.
You can't,
You're not
can't
covering
slander
we
the
didn't
New
start
York
the-
legend, you know?
I just more so like anytime in a song I hear something that's like, I met you on the corner of 2nd Avenue. I'm like, who cares? I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Right.
It's just such a cheat code to make things like real and feel like a real story, you know. And it's just like,
I mean, that is a Billy Joel thing, but that was
Yeah.
because his whole identity is in New York. Is literally that's the whole thing he's going for. Every song has some little Easter egg references to New York in it, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
very
just-
narrative based.
Yeah.
I can accept that.
And I guess
Exactly.
that's because it's like he's very blues based as well.
Yeah.
Very
Very
blues
blues
influence,
That's what
and
it's
that's
based off of, yeah.
yeah. I remember having a conversation ages ago about Eminem and how the reason he kind of stood out to a lot of people was because he was telling stories. Like, I mean, obviously he was white in a black culture and all this kind of stuff, but he was telling stories in rap which didn't seem to be the way other rappers were doing it, because what we were presented with was very much just like, I'm great. This is my song and I'm great. And then he came up and said, oh, well, no,
lot of posturing.
yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff, and that's what he continued to do. Whereas now he does a lot of posturing.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
kind of heard this, but like his technical stuff's really great, and that's what people are listening to him for.
happens to a lot of artists. They like actually have something to say for the first couple of albums, and they get big, and then their next single is "Bitch I'm Madonna," and you're like, "That's it. That's what you did." Ray of Light. You did Like a
Everyone
Prayer.
needs one album, which is just like, I'm great. If you
Well,
can make it to
no.
album 3 and be like,
Because you might have run out of things to say.
I mean, I feel like a lot of that is they get a lot of success on their first or second album, and then the record label sort of scoops them up and then turns them into something generic. You know, this is unfortunately happened to Tonight Alive actually. In there with Limitless, the Sony Records basically, I think it was Fearless, basically took them on and basically pushed them in the direction that they did not like, and so they actually completely kind of divorced with the record label and joined Hopeless Records, and then they put out Underworld, which is, in my opinion, probably the best album of the 2010s essentially. And it's like, you know, such a great album in terms of like taking their original sound and turning it into something unique, and that's like something every band should aspire to get to. And that was like really just a great album in terms of like the diversity of the songs in it. And so yeah, so sometimes you get like kind of those record label overreach, but sometimes it ends up being for the best, you know.
it's a risk. Like, you
Yeah.
obviously have to balance like your creative output with the fact that you can get paid.
Right.
And that's that dream of like, you know, you don't have to pay for your own gear because there's someone there to pay for it. There's someone to organize all the trips and someone to like book venues and all that kind of thing. But you actually just reminded me. I mean, do you guys know much about Eurovision?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I've got to double check. It's Europe.
Yeah.
Did you remember the year Lordi won Eurovision?
Lord?
Lordi, not Lord.
What
I think
what
maybe
country?
it was a
So
strange-
Lordi are a European band who dress like basically like Satan. They're just like huge costumes, it's devil makeup, it's all this kind of stuff.
So like Ghost, basically.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's,
You're
just,
right,
it's
it's just
completely
Ghost,
like
yeah.
theatrical and over the top.
Yeah.
They've been around for like literally years and years and years. They were technically unsigned at the time, so they could participate in Eurovision, which is one of the rules of Eurovision. You're not allowed to be signed to a label. They won because they're an established metal band,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "Well, yeah, you're great. You can't lose Eurovision." But once that happened, they got picked up. I think it was like by Universal or Sony, and they didn't do anything with them. They didn't know how to promote them. They didn't know how to promote their music. They didn't know what to do with the artists. They basically were just trying to push them down this like other line. There's a whole documentary about it, about how their country fully embraced them because they won Eurovision and then instantly rejected them for selling out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wait, where are they from?
I think it's Sweden, like Denmark or Sweden.
I was
yeah.
gonna say, I think it was one
Yeah.
of the Scandinavian. Sounds about
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think their biggest song is
Scandinavian
Hard Rock
thing to do.
Hallelujah, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're a crazy band though, because they'll do radio interviews, but they'll get in full costume for it.
Nice.
Well, should we wear costumes? Well, I have a face for the radio. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
We're capturing it on video right now.
Yay.
Oh, I like it.
How far into like showmanship do you think bands should go? Like, do you think it's relative to the sound they produce? Like, should we be in devil horn costume? Well, that doesn't work for us. Should we be in postal service?
Why doesn't that work for you?
uniforms?
Everyone hates the USPS.
But that's why I think it's fun. It's like we're like redeeming their reputation.
I mean, I sometimes feel like I'm the exception to the rule in the sense of like the stuff I enjoy is very high concept.
Yeah.
And I love when a band will play into their gimmick, right? Like Alice Cooper is fantastic.
Mhm.
He went from being essentially a pop metal artist to being Satan.
Yep. Yeah.
Because the public were like, we don't like Satan stuff. And he's like, great, I can slap that on an album cover and I can sell it. And he's had something like 20 albums. If you ever go all the way back and listen to like his first stuff, compared to when he put out Poison, you're like, this is not the same band. Like, this is not the same thing. And I kind of love that, and it goes towards the whole kind of like professional wrestling kayfabe where they just you don't know whether it's real or it's fake, right? So the mystery's there. And then you add that mystery to the artistry and then the music, and everything kind of compiles on top of it. And I think, on my personal view of a lot of music nowadays, is you lose that. Because you essentially get artists and bands now where you're buying their story. So you're buying we're the scrappy band from this town who made it, and like we're big now, we're Imagine Dragons, we're great, and it's all this kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, and then you're like, oh no, I'm Lord, I put out this album and I did it in my basement and I did everything on it, and everyone was like, this is amazing, and then it blows up. And it went, okay, well these are humans, these are people. I don't really care about that. I meet these people every day. I want someone who is completely willing to let their character own the spotlight. So at the end of the day, they can turn it off and they're not that character anymore.
Like gorillas. With
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 There's generally like a movement though in the pop punk scene specifically that went away from that, which is
Yeah.
they sort of just had everyone was sort of dressed the same way. You had like the baggy pants, the skate shoes, you know, all that stuff. You know, that was like the go-to, and basically the whole point was that the bands are not elevated above the audience. The bands are essentially made up of people that could very well be audience members, and it's just like anyone can do this, you know. It kind of made it more accessible. And so I'm like a proponent for that. It's like, you know, I don't like the inherent elitism, you know. It's just like, you know, everyone can be a musician. It's just like, it just depends on what you want to make in terms of music and how you want to express yourself, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it's,
Yeah.
I have the same issue with just kind of artists in general. Like I always remember having this discussion with people of, it's been years since we had someone who was like Dali, like Salvador Dali, because he was a character,
Yes.
like an actual caricature kind of thing. And that's why like when Lady Gaga came out,
Yeah,
it was like
sure.
a thing. It was like,
Yeah.
you guys have to know this is a character. This isn't how she
Yeah.
spends her day, right?
People are just unaware, yeah.
It's just like, and everyone's like, oh, this is amazing. She's doing this. It's like, no, this isn't how she spends her day. She's putting art into every single aspect of
Yeah.
the performance.
Yeah.
It's not just the music anymore.
She's so
Yeah.
good.
And like you were saying with like kind of pop punk, when bands tried to move away from being
Yeah.
the every band, like Green Day is a great example, and they did one album which was stylized and
Yeah.
released American Idiot, and everyone was like, you fucking sold out. Like
Yeah.
you did something with style, and that's not what punk's about. It's about being, just a regular guy.
Yeah.
And then so it's a fine line.
Yeah.
I don't know if the modern world does that or thinks about it.
I think about it.
You think about it.
Well, because I like.
That's why I like.
I
your
mean,
music.
that's like
Yeah, well,
sort of,
obviously.
it sort of plays into the fact like if you think about any like pop punk band,
Yeah.
you can't identify who the drummer is. You can't identify who the bassist is unless you go and like look into it. Like it's just like they're just like unnamed pieces of the band that can be just swapped out at any time, right? And that's like that was the whole thing, right? And personally, I think like there's certain people that have elevated above that level. Like I mentioned Matty Best previously, right? Where he started out the same way, but he created essentially a unique sound for himself, and it's very noticeable. And there's a lot of singers that did the same thing, like Jenna from Tonight Live, the singer. She has a very unique sound where she's putting out solo stuff now under Heaven She, and you listen to that and you're just like, yeah, that is, that it's her. You can just, it's purely her voice and just her thoughts and stuff, and it just feels it's very authentic and unique, and that sometimes is lost in pop punk, unfortunately. And that's why like it's fun to listen to, but then when you start listening to it like a bunch, everything just starts flowing into each other. Like you listen to Newfound Glory, you listen to All American Rejects after, and sometimes you can't identify the difference. It's just everything sort of is the same.
I have this issue.
Yeah.
I think Brendan Urie is the singer on every.
No more slander.
Right. that is pseudo slander.
I guess this is a question maybe specifically for you, Tristan. Of just so you, obviously concept-wise and art-wise, you had a very particular vision when you started.
Yes.
And you started getting going with this.
Yeah.
When I make stuff like that, whenever anything's higher concept, I use it as a barrier to basically divert from me. But you're also the front man.
Right.
So how does that work?
Well, because with the music we're making right now, that's all leading up to this album, Wrapped in Plastic, it was about kind of like divorcing a part of myself, if that makes sense. Like I got to a point in my life where I was just tired of dealing with the same problems over and over, and I started to think of it as like being wrapped in plastic, where it's like everything that we love, we put in plastic, like couches, so that they stay in the same condition, and like leftovers, we're trying to preserve them, so we put them in plastic. So it's a matter of like, I don't know, moving on from those problems and untrapping yourself is the idea. But naturally, most of the music is very sad. So you spend most of the music talking about staying in circles and staying in horrific cycles. And so, I feel like on some level it's me, but it feels like writing an old diary.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm still the front man. I'm still like saying my words, but these are things I used to feel. And then maybe that'll connect with somebody. And
Yeah.
make them feel.
I think I read an interview with, I can't remember who it was. I think it was like someone like Regina Spektor or someone
I love Regina Spektor.
who had been on about an album, and someone had gone on her that her next album didn't sound like the first album. They were like really upset. Like you used to make these songs which I really related to and all that kind of thing. She's like, yeah, I made those songs to get better.
Yeah.
Like that was my catharsis. That was me putting out into the world, and now I want to make these songs about my current situation,
Which is really good.
Which is my
Yeah,
life,
I know,
right?
yeah.
I've
So
been
I
dealing
keep
with my
saying
life.
we're going to become a ska band when I start to feel
Oh
better.
fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I
And
want it so bad.
It plays into a lot of things. I think, like I was listening to Good Charlotte the other day, like came on, and they went full tongue in cheek when they made it big, because there was like their first album was Lifestyles of Rich and Famous, which was obviously about fuck rich people, fuck the establishment,
Yeah.
and then they're like, hey, yeah, I've got a gold watch and I drive a Bentley and all this kind of stuff, and they were like, yeah, we get asked that question a lot. It's like, yeah, because we were writing about what was around us at the time, and that's how we know how to write music.
Yeah.
Like, we're not writing this for the underdog. We just were the underdog at the time, and now we happen to be quite successful. So we're happy about that, and we want to make music about that.
Yeah.
You kind of have to find that edge.
But I feel like a lot of times too, when people are like, I'm writing about this time in my life, it becomes like diaristic and not like, I wanted to make these songs and this like album, this everything on the concept, like actually more of a character and more of a story than just like, here's every bad thing that ever happened to me, part one. It's like a lot of music I see now that I get recommended on TikTok because you go to my Spotify and it's like, oh,
No, I'm just taking this token.
oh, we're good. Like my Spotify will try to feed me things. So they're like, we know you like Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, these singer-songwriters, Fiona Apple. So they're like, here's another similar artist maybe. And I'm like, oh, this person just got on the track and was like, I went to the grocery store and then I thought of you. I'm like, well, okay, like this is not really like conceptual. You're not really extrapolating this message to
What if she
anyone.
didn't go to the grocery
So
store?
what if she did?
What if it was?
I mean,
the
Spotify algorithm is kind of fucked. Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
it's very bad.
It's troubled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was less interested in publishing a diary and more interested in publishing a depressive piece of work that other people
I
can
would
relate
love
to.
you to write a song which is a fake diary page about some place you've never been. Just like, oh, hey, I was in Paris and I was doing this. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, none of this is true.
one of our songs is completely made up.
Perfect.
They don't know which one.
That's the way to go.
I don't know which one.
They're all made up.
It's
But,
almost-
like
this
Julian
almost-
doesn't know which one.
one of them is about Julian from Julian's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Like
That
there's a
one's
lot
not made up.
That one's not made up. That one's real.
Real as hell.
There's a level of like this which is like you have the same challenge that comedians have within a band, which is like comedians get up on stage and they tell anecdotes. None of those anecdotes are real.
No, of course not.
Like it's like, oh hey, I have this friend. It's like, you don't have that friend.
Randy
You thought a
Dollface.
joke. Yeah.
That's
Like,
a puppet. He did not
yeah.
go to the bus stop.
he went. Maybe he went to the bus stop. Maybe he killed a guinea pig. We
Maybe he
don't-
did. Again, no slander. Sorry.
We
Randy
love you,
Dollface
Randy.
called you a liar.
Come on the show.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Can you get the
Yeah,
puppet?
yeah,
on?
I would love Randy to go on the show.
He's
There's
gonna
one
be
way to
here
do it.
soon.
He is. He's gonna be in Jersey.
Invite him out.
You should stage tour.
Yeah.
I could.
We'll ask him for you.
We'll ask, you can ask him for it. I'm not approaching
We'll- we'll
strangers.
wait.
Come on.
Hey, my friend's really shy, but he says you're really cool. And Graham's over
My
there.
friend's shy, but he has a podcast. Will you come talk to him? And then I'll just be hiding in the background. I'll have gone by that point. You want to
I
see me.
point at nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll just be like a Graham shaped, like a Looney Tune, where it's like the
Graham-shaped
dust.
hole.
And it's just like,
Oh yeah.
it just disappeared.
gone.
Just hair.
The beard stays behind. You have to come back and grab it.
You see why when I make art, I put barriers between myself and
Exactly.
everything else. No, I agree. I think it's you have there's a level of theatrics in anything you're doing. And you're not always writing about yourself that exact moment,
Right.
because usually you can. And I think that's the other thing people forget. It's just like if let's say you're super depressed, or you're super happy, at that exact moment in time, your thought process is not, I'm gonna write some lyrics.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Right.
live in
It's
the
I'm
moment.
fucking dying.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ecstatic, and I really want to enjoy this feeling, but I gotta write down. I gotta write down, guys. It's like 3 months later, you're like, what was that? Why was I feeling that?
Yeah.
Mm.
Blending in.
You're trying to write when you're in a bad mood is literally like shit. And you're like, this isn't really functional. Maybe we should have been a punk band.
There you go.
I
Fuck.
gotta wrap this up, but I got one last question. Who should I speak to next?
Is that the
The
question?
keyboardist. Oh my god, we forgot to invite.
Oh, I thought it was
Fuck.
who do I talk to?
Right.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Oh my
So
God.
this is the way I work. Like, so you guys know people. If you wanted to hear someone chat to me for an hour about whatever, who should I speak to next? Who should I try to get on the show?
Kukush is really
Kukush
cool.
is pretty interesting. He's got an
Yeah.
interesting life.
He's had a very storied life. Like he's been around.
He
Like,
seems like a movie character
That
in
sounds
real
gross.
life.
He's been around.
that sounded gross. That's not what I meant.
I'm
He's
gonna
like,
open
he's
Kukush's interview.
He's a musician. No, he's had a very cool life. Yeah, you'll meet him at the show. So introduce
That's
him.
my suggestion.
That's your suggestion. Any suggestions from this side? Do you know Kukush?
I haven't actually met him, so it's gonna be interesting seeing him in the show.
Neither one of you?
Never met him yet.
Anyone
Not a
else?
mystery.
Anyone
We'll
else?
get there.
Not that I could think of.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think this should be your last episode, actually.
Yeah, I mean it's not gonna get better.
It's
than
been a good
this.
run since 2017. 200 and something episodes. We will end
Yeah,
it. We're just cut it there. Yeah, thank you for coming on, guys. It's been good to
Thanks
chat.
for having
Thank you for having
It's
us.
been
Thank you for having
enjoyable.
us. Yeah.
And you should check out Postage Tramps. I'll leave links and everything.
Oh yeah, we're on every social media app that everybody loves and goes on constantly. We love
Sick.
apps. Yeah, we
Yeah.
slandered them at the beginning of the episode, but we love apps.
Yes.
Literally, it's the only marketing we can get. You know.
That's where to go. All right. We'll talk to these guys later. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Stop recording.
That was so much fun. The live studio audience was so quiet.
Yeah.
I was so afraid I was gonna